Tuesday, and it's a full house here on Sideline Sports. We got the usuals, Jake and John and myself. Then we got some weird guy to my left or right, depending on which way you're looking. We got Jay Nelson joining us tonight. And then, of course, we got two young stud players, baseball players on the show tonight. We got Scott Young and Aaron Graber, who are joining us as well. We got a full house. So let's start off really quick with Scott and Aaron. How you guys doing tonight?
Good. We're excited to be here.
Absolutely. Excited to get going.
Well, we appreciate you guys taking some time coming on tonight. So you guys are both going to Rowan College. So when you're choosing a college, especially for sports, how does one come about choosing Rowan, which has a great reputation, but a lot of people may not have heard of it?
So me, it was kind of a different situation than most others. I was coming out of high school, actually committed to go play football at the Division III level. And, I did my senior season. I did pretty well. And I talked to my high school coach about, an option playing baseball. And there wasn't D1 schools or D2 schools that I, could go to because it was so late in the process. So Coach Oler knows Coach Valley at RCSJ Gloucester. And, it's a great coach, great program. So I was the right fit there. And I love where I'm at right now.
Yeah, my situation was a little different as well. This is actually, I'm a sophomore this year, going into the spring, and this is my third college I've been to. So it's been a much different process for me than it has been for him and a lot of other people. And then there's kids on the team that are sort of in the same spot as me. For me, it was just sort of the way the wind blew me. I got really lucky to be placed in the hands of Coach Valley, and I knew after talking to him and him sort of seeing me play this last summer, the way we met up was the right fit.
All right. So real quick. So Scott, because you're not anywhere near New Jersey. Like Aaron, at least you're from New Jersey. So like you ending up at Rowan, I can piece that together. I'm like, okay, like this is your area. It totally makes sense. Scott, like I know you mentioned that your coach knew the coach of Rowan, but like how did you end up all the way from California to a small school in New Jersey that like I know about because I live here, but as JB kind of mentioned, like most people have probably never even heard of it.
Yeah, it's a really good question, and along with the good question is usually a long answer. Long story short, I was scheduled I played my freshman year at Santa Ana College, which is in Orange County, California. And going into that summer, you get set summer assignments early in the year. So last September, I got my summer assignment set to go to Anchorage, Alaska. And following the season, I had a hamstring injury that last spring. So it sort of fell out with the summer program. I was going to the Alaska Baseball League. I know some of you guys here are Yankees fans. I was on the Anchorage Pilots, and Judge is an alumni of that team. I think Gardner was also. So I was super excited to go out there, but unfortunately, because of the injury and there was some coaching changes up there, it ended up falling out. So I was sort of scrambling for a summer team, and I had a friend up in New Jersey that recommended it, and I got placed in the ACBL to play this summer. So I've been local all summer. I was on the Trenton Generals.
Oh, nice. You're right by me.
Under Coach Mike Coryell.
Oh, I love that. Sorry, so you were in Trenton. Good for you.
Exactly.
Right,
so I spent the summer up there, and so I consider myself a local now.
I love that. All right. So there you go. I was just when I was thinking about that, I'm like, I don't understand how somebody comes from California to New Jersey. Like all the people I go to school with here, I'm at TCNJ. So
okay.
I was gonna say, you being in Trenton, you know exactly where I am.
Yeah.
Everybody from here, it's like New Jersey, Pennsylvania. Exactly. Maybe you get a handful of New York kids. That's it. It's like we're all local people. There's nobody anywhere across the country. So when I read California, I was like, I don't get that. Like West Deptford, I was like, okay, that makes sense. Like being at Rowan, I was like, those things add up for me. I was like, yeah. Aaron, I understand why you are where you are. Like that totally makes sense. But okay, I like it. So
baseball is such a small world. So
how do you like New Jersey? I gotta ask because
I love it.
As a New Jerseyan, I gotta ask.
It's such a different world than California is. Much different pace. People are a lot more family like, which is good.
Okay.
Yeah,
right,
people have been so welcoming, and I love it here.
Yeah. So, Aaron, this is a question that you can chime in, of course, but again, Scott has probably got this was a whole new world to him. Do you enjoy Wawa? This is just a New Jersey related question. So I just Aaron probably knows Wawa because it's somewhat popular in New Jersey, but I wanted to know, Scott, because you don't have that in California. Have
It
you
was
gone?
life
Do you like
changing.
it?
Like
Wawa.
California, you wouldn't even think of getting food at a gas station. And one of my buddies this summer was like, "Oh, we'll stop at Wawa." And I'm like, "We're pulling in, and it was a gas station." I'm like, "We're getting gas station food before a game."
It's not
And
gas station
he took
food.
me there. Oh my god, amazing!
All right, and then the last question I have about that for both of you: what is your signature order when you go to Wawa? This has nothing to do with baseball, but because you're two New Jersey guys now, I got to ask. This is important questions I have to know.
There's a lot of them. There's a lot of good options. I'm gonna go with the buffalo chicken sandwich though. That's kind of a go-to before practice. You know, you're on the run, got out of class, need a sandwich, go to Wawa.
That's a good answer.
I'm going same thing. I'm going to hoagie with salt, pepper, oregano, ham, cheese, and bacon.
Ooh, okay. I like these answers. These are the important questions you have to ask somebody. That's how you get to know a person and who they really are. Like that's why I know John's the same, because John likes to have his steaks well done. That's how I knew John was a complete nut. So John, as always, I have to throw you under the bus. That's just kind of how I do things.
You like Wawa. Wait until you find out what a sheet is. Wait until you find out what a sheet
Wawa
is.
is better than Sheets.
When you find out what a
Wawa
sheet is, it kills
Wawa
Wawa.
over Sheets. Nah.
Listen to Aaron. He told you Wawa's better than Sheets.
I had Sheets all summer. I couldn't do it. I had to go Wawa over Sheets. Had to.
Absolutely. And I mean, look, think about who's saying all that Wawa's better than Sheets. John's saying Tua for MVP. I mean, come on.
Hey, easy there.
That's ridiculous.
I'm a Dolphin fan as well.
That's ridiculous.
Oh no!
I'm a Dolphin fan as well.
I can't deal with him. I can't deal with him.
Oh.
Well, I mean, from Orange County, I mean, they didn't have football until a couple of years ago or way back. So
still,
it's acceptable. It's a lot of better teams he could have chosen, but
I agree.
Anyway,
at least he didn't say Cowboys.
Yeah. You know what? I would agree with that.
And there's so many Cowboys fans in California. It's
yes, there are.
Disgusting.
That's like a second Texas.
So, you guys play on the same team in the same outfield, and you guys are both projected to go pretty high in the draft in 23. How's that relationship like, knowing that, you're both projected to go really high in the draft, playing together? What's that experience like?
Honestly, Scotty over here is a big addition to the outfield this year. But, honestly, I'm just taking it one day at a time. Obviously the draft is a goal of mine. It always has been. But, I'm just going to focus on the little things and getting better right now and, just take it day by day and getting better. And I think the cards will fall into place when the draft comes, hopefully, if I have a good year. But, I'm just focused on, building chemistry with the team this year to make a World Series run, because overall that's what I want to do with my college career. I want to win a World Series, and we came short last year. We lost in the World Series, but I want to make it back. I want to win a World Series, and the draft will play out itself.
Yeah, I mean, coming in when it came down to picking schools and talking to Coach Valley about sort of what Gloucester had to offer, one of the big selling points was he's like, I have someone on my team that's identical to you practically. Your games, you play a lot differently, but as far as size, strength, speed, talent, I have someone that's a lot like you. And it was sort of intriguing to me because both of us being 6'5", 6'6", left-handed, super fast as well. I mean, both of us, speed is probably the top of our game. You don't see a lot of guys like that. So definitely coming in and having him on the team has pushed me a lot harder, and I hope to say that it's pushed him a lot harder as well, because I think seeing each other do well proves to each other that we have a lot more talent that we each can tap into.
All right, so you guys mentioned talking about I think it was you, Scott. You were mentioning the Yankees, and you talked about Brett Gardner. You guys mentioned speed, guys. So, of course, I thought like Brett. So that kind of made me think, the two of you, I would love to know, who do you guys try to, I don't want to say model yourselves after, but who do you maybe compare yourselves to, or maybe your role models, or maybe a mix of both? Who are those guys?
Obviously Bryce Harper's my guy, but I kind of try to model my game around Christian Yelich.
Okay.
Not recently, but his 2018 version of Christian Yelich. But Coach Valley said that we're built similar. We got same swing, everything like that. So I was watching a ton of highlights of him, and overall it helped my game come last spring. And I saw a lot of benefits from modeling my game after him, and trying to follow his path.
As far as play style, yeah, I kind of go back to an old version too of Cody Bellinger. Being from California, my dad's a huge Dodgers fan, so I've watched him. I mean, I would come home from school and the game would be on. So he's been a guy I'd say I modeled my game after.
Love that. That's
Nice.
I was almost half expecting one of you to say Brett Gardner, just a little bit, because we're fast. So I think fast. I think Brett. That's like the first guy that came to mind. Again, and you mentioned, I was like, well, maybe they'll say him. Who knows?
Yeah.
Interesting. You forgot about the power though.
Brett didn't have power though. That was the
No,
only
but
thing
they
he was.
both,
I know.
they both do. So
I know.
that's why I wasn't thinking Brett. But
That's fair. You're right. I give you that.
Yelich and Bellinger both have a little bit of speed with power.
do.
So
They do.
Yeah.
I'll give you that. That's
Come on.
fine.
get with it, Jake.
I am with it. I'm with it.
Get with it. Get
That's,
with
I
it.
asked the hard-hitting questions about Wawa. I asked the important stuff.
Yeah.
That's fast.
Wow.
See, they agree.
Jay- So wait, more importantly, since Jay's all the way down in Houston, so we're talking about Wawa. What do you guys have that's like Wawa?
Oh man.
In California or in Houston?
I was
Oh,
asking
I think-
Jay up top.
Oh, Houston. You know what? Honestly, we have like taco shops inside of gas stations. And we just
Yeah.
and you see a lot. You actually see a lot more. You see a lot more like taco trucks and like just food trucks in general. So I guess that's how it's like
Sounds
different.
food poisoning.
It's no, it's not. It's not. Like
Well, I'm saying inside
you'll
the
see-
gas station, the trucks, whatever. But I don't buy food trucks. But inside the gas station, sounds like
I don't know.
You don't touch it.
That's risky.
It's
Yeah.
I mean, it depends. I mean, like, of course, it's a risk and whatnot. You're better off with the taco trucks though, because you can't go wrong with
Yeah,
taco
go
trucks.
taco trucks.
And they're from
No.
California. There's taco trucks. I've been to Cali. I've seen them.
Okay.
So
Yeah, you can't beat them.
yeah, definitely the taco trucks. We have a truck around the corner that does like loaded baked potatoes, like literally like whatever you want, like brisket, sausage, oxtail, you name it.
That sounds good.
There's some that's like Chinese food, Asian cuisine, and whatnot. So yeah, ours
Interesting.
isn't so much inside the gas station like a Wawa. It's just sitting just outside of it in a truck or on some random corner.
Interesting. All right.
So Scott, coming from California, where you can basically play ball 12 months a year,
Yeah.
to the Northeast, where if you get 7 months,
You feel lucky.
You're doing well. As
Yeah.
some people on here earlier said they had some snow in Pennsylvania. JT was telling us. What's the difference for you in getting used to the climate and staying in shape during the non-season, I guess, the off season?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I'm going through that now for sure. I mean, last season it was so much different because we were playing ball through December 21st, and when our schedule came out and was like, we're done practicing after Halloween, I was like, well, what am I supposed to do with myself?
It's cold, man.
Now you got these extra months and you have nothing to do, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but it's been good. I mean, I really think that there's been a great aspect of an opportunity to really hit the weight room hard. We're in there every day, which is nice. And yeah, it gives a lot more time to sort of focus on self-care too. I think one of the problems I had as far as gaining weight was eating right. So now it seems like I have a lot more time to myself to really focus on cooking the right meals, make sure I'm dedicating eating 3-4 meals a day, and putting the time aside to get in the weight room as well.
That's important. And that's I always say that is the hardest part about living
Actually,
here. Being outside, you can't right now. It's cold.
Yeah.
It's dark early. It sucks. Everything about it's.
Exactly.
Worst
I'm
time of
gonna I'm gonna make a PSA to anybody that is considering moving to this part of the country. Don't
Don't do it. Don't
Just
do
don't
it.
do it. Just don't. Just stay away. It's a bad idea.
That's the
It's
question I get always is
dark
why
early
on
sucks.
earth? Why on earth would
I
you
did-
come from California here?
I did have
Still barely
a
understand
question
that.
for. I did have a question for both of them, though. And you actually had brought it up, and I just kind of wanted to segue into it, I guess. Take us through how your training regimen is like, your diet regimen is like, weights, cardio, as far as eating right, like what all you got going on your plate, man? Well, both of you actually.
Obviously, I take a lot of pride in my nutrition. That's the most important part of, weightlifting, because the work you put in the weight room doesn't mean anything if you don't put the right stuff in your body. So, that's a big thing. And, we should preach it to the squad a little bit more, because by springtime, it absolutely pays off. Like, I noticed that a lot last year, come power and stuff like that. And, our training it's a lot of explosion stuff, because, you need that in baseball. And, linear rotary, we call it. You need a lot of, rotational strength, and, the lower body needs to be strong come springtime.
Yeah, I agree. And it's been good having guys like him to sort of keep me accountable as far as what I'm eating, how much I'm eating, and my diligence in the weight room as well. Because I can speak for all the guys on our team. We work really hard. I haven't seen a team work as hard as this team does in the weight room. And it's really good to see the culture and how much work everyone's putting in. And I think when you build up a culture like that, seeing kids work hard, it really speaks to your personal self. Okay, if he's working hard, I'm not going to be the one to step back and not work hard.
Yeah.
Right.
So it really helps us.
Love that. That's good mindset.
So both you guys being outfielders, right? When you guys play road games, what's your technique for learning the outfield at a away stadium?
It's kind of just a pregame thing, getting a feel for the warning track, getting a feel for the wall. And, we take ground balls, fly balls in the grass just to get used to everything. And, it's extremely important to do. A lot of people don't take, a lot of pride in it. But come game time, bottom of ninth inning, you need to make a play. You got to know where you're at on the field. So I think it's a big, big key in your play.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I consider really important. I mean, they'll see me walk out with a ball during batting practice, and I'll be
Just hitting balls against the wall.
along the outfield wall for 10 minutes, like throwing different bounces off the wall and make sure like there's different corners. Like we played a fall game at Seton Hall, and in left center, they had like this weird straight corner out there. And I'm like, okay, whoever's in left, because in the fall, we rotate outfielders, what position, just so coach can see who's good in right field, who's good in left field. Whoever's in left field, tell the center fielder when they're running back, look out for that corner.
Communication is a big thing.
So we made sure, like before the game, you look at the outfield wall. Sometimes there's weird stuff. Sometimes it's just normal. Different types of walls. Some schools have chain link fence. Some schools have padding. So it's definitely a point of communication before the game to make sure that beforehand, because preparation is key.
Absolutely. All right. Well, John, JB, Jay, any questions? Anything else?
Yeah, I mean, for you guys, is there an ideal team that you would like to go to when you get drafted? Because you both are going to get drafted. Or do you not care where you go?
Any team that any team that gives me an opportunity to go there and show out and show my skills, I'll go to. But obviously, being a South Jersey kid, I would love to go to the Phillies. I grew up watching them. Win a World Series in 2008. So I would love to do it. And all their farm systems are around me too. So that'd be great to know. My family comes out to a game and watch me play ball. Pro ball. It's always been a dream of mine. So they've always been so supportive. So that'd be really special for them to come out and watch me.
I would say my dream squad is Tampa Bay.
Really?
Not so much for the location. I just like the way that things are run down there.
Shot.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love the small market. I love getting guys in a culture that like winning. And they seem to do it the right way down there.
Huh. Of all the places you would have said, that was not the one I would have expected. Not that
and we also
I wasn't expecting that. I admittedly I didn't even consider them. I was like,
I mean, they every year I watch them. It seems like 1 through 9, their whole lineup's tough. They don't strike out a lot. They're there to win.
Yeah, Well,
It's kind of ironic that we have Colby White, not this year, but last year's minor league pitcher of the year on our network. Who does a show?
Okay.
Rushing back with Colby White from the Tampa Bay Rays.
Maybe you guys will end up linking up. Who knows? Maybe look, maybe you go there and you guys end up becoming teammates one day. You never know what happens.
Sweet.
Sometimes that kind of stuff just works out. You never know.
It's true.
All right, guys. Any other questions? Anything at all?
No, let's get to the sports talk.
All right. Well, then, real quick, Scott and Aaron, if you just want to shout out where anybody can find you, that'd be great. Just so people can find you on your socials.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, my Instagram is just my name, Scotty Young, with an extra S at the front. So 2 S's, Scotty Young.
There you go.
Sweet.
My Instagram is my last name, Graber _XXIII.
Too complicated. He needs to change
Got to
that.
get the Roman numerals in there. Got to be different.
Hey, that's all right. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. And hopefully we'll see you guys in the big leagues soon enough.
Of course.
I look forward to seeing you guys.
Yeah, we'll keep in touch.
Thanks for coming in.
Thanks
Absolutely.
for joining.
Thanks for having
Appreciate it,
us.
Thanks for having us.
All right, have a good one, guys.
You too.
All right. So before we go anywhere, the elephant needs to be addressed. John has, because he's just John, has his name not as Jon Shearer, not Blue Hawks 13. It says Tua for MVP. So I think we need to unpack this. I only want to take a couple minutes because there's a lot of stuff I know we all want to talk about. But we need to unpack that.
You can't knock against it anymore.
I sure can. I could tell you
Not
at
all.
least 2 guys that I would 1,000. I would put all the money I have that would win it ahead of him. 100%.
He's first in almost every single stat.
That's not.
I guess,
point.
Jake.
Okay.
I think it was from benching him in close games last year. He learned so much. Not from playing. It's definitely the benching.
So
No.
Tua is first by a mile in rating on third down, on completion percentage on third down, on touchdowns on third down. He has no interceptions on third down. He has the best passer rating in the red zone. He has no interceptions in the red zone, the most touchdowns in the red zone for any quarterback, the best rating, best completion percentage. He has the best stats on third down, best stats in the red zone of any NFL quarterback.
So let me just ask a question. Let me just ask you a question before you go any further. All of these stats sound like red zone and third down. But how
that's
is he?
That's the money maker right there.
Absolutely, you are so wrong. Because
the money down,
both of them are
get to the red zone first.
Money.
You get red first. So I want to know how are the rest of his stats. I understand in the red zone he's good, or on third.
Are you talking about like yards?
That's fine. I want to know all of it. Where does he rank completion percentage, attempts, yards, touchdowns,
completion percentage?
There's so much to this that you're missing.
Yeah. Completion percentage, he's second place right behind Geno, 1% behind Geno. He's number 1 in the NFL in rating, passer rating. He's the best in the NFL. Touchdowns, I believe is he 5? I think he's 5 behind Patrick Mahomes. And he's missed basically 3 games.
So that would help his case, if anything, because he's had less attempts and less throws to make.
Right. He's had like a little over 100 less attempts,
which is a large difference.
So he's had 18 touchdowns, 3 picks. He leads the league in yards per attempt. So out of everybody, which is huge. So basically he's top of the league in every single, like right there, top 5, every single stat.
Right. But you know who's ahead of him in a lot of stats as well, though, including the important ones like touchdowns. I'm looking at the touchdowns right now. There's 3 guys ahead of him, which is probably the most important stats. Touchdowns we score. He's not number 1. Just making a
but it's not necessarily all about that.
It's pretty important.
Yeah, but I mean, he's easily in the top 5 consideration. So Tua for MVP is not a crazy notion.
Oh, it is,
because he is an MVP candidate now.
I would put, there's 3 guys actually I'd put ahead of him. 3 quarterbacks that 100% are more deserving than Tua. No question.
You're going to say Mahomes?
Allen?
Allen.
No, I think Allen's fallen behind Tua now.
Not at all. Nope. Not at all.
You realize...
Well, I must have had a bad reception. My Wi-Fi must be going out.
You realize...
Because this is not just about numbers. This is about eye tests too. I'm counting it all.
But Josh Allen's last 3 games, he's thrown multiple interceptions 3 straight games.
Okay.
He has 8 turnovers in his last 3 games, and he leads the league in interceptions. You can't lead the league in
He
picks.
actually leads all quarterbacks in end zone interceptions thrown with 4, and he threw them all in the last 3 weeks.
I'd still rather Josh Allen over Tua, but anyway.
He's fallen back behind Tua, behind Mahomes.
Okay, I'd still prefer Patrick Mahomes or Jalen Hurts over Tua. So
but I'm saying Tua's top 5 MVP. He's an MVP candidate.
That's congratulations.
So you have to Tua for MVP means he's getting votes.
No, but he's not going to win it. That's my point.
He could.
No, he's not.
I mean, there's nobody that's played better than Tua as of late.
Patrick Mahomes is 100% better than him. You can't.
Jake, you got Lamar ahead of him?
No, I don't think Lamar's ahead of him.
Lamar's
ahead of him. Lamar has disappointed me all season. I think Lamar has been one of the more disappointing quarterbacks this season. Not bad, but just he hasn't done what I would have expected out of him. I think he's been a top 7 or 8 quarterback probably. That's just off the top of my head.
Yeah, but
looking at any
but
stats,
not an MVP.
Not
the
MVP right now.
only legit guys you can say right now are Tua, Mahomes, Hurts, Allen. Like those are really the only guys that you're considering right now.
I mean, I'll put someone up there that won't get any votes because of the position he plays, but there's actually 2 guys. I'd put Tyreek Hill. I'd put Justin Jefferson. I'd put them up there. They're both more than deserving.
Believe me, I feel you
because
on
they don't
that.
play quarterback.
I completely feel you on that, but as we all know, it's a quarterback award. So,
But I mean, Tyreek Hill, he's got 1,100 yards. He had 1,100 yards through 9 games, the most through 9 games of anyone in NFL history. Yeah, he could end with 2,000. He very well could end with 2,000.
And keep in mind when Calvin Johnson and Cooper Kupp had their seasons, they didn't win MVP.
I understand.
Right. So
I'm just saying.
Yeah, a wide receiver is not winning MVP.
I mean, we all, would definitely, like, if I was a voter, I would definitely give him votes. But I mean, they probably aren't even giving him votes.
I could see an outcry happening, though. I could see an outcry definitely happening about it. If Tyreek Hill gets like 2,100 yards, I'm willing to bet you there's going to be an outcry saying
the last person, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the last non-quarterback
across the board,
the last non-quarterback to win was AP, right?
Yeah, 2012.
Yeah, 2012.
Yeah.
So
AP.
I mean, you're gonna have to have just like the craziest season, and even then, it's not guaranteed. So,
and the consolation prize is they'll give you the offensive player of the year, which makes no sense because if you're the best offensive player, how are you not the MVP? If I'm a better offensive player,
John,
you know what I mean?
I can make the same argument if I'm the best defensive player. Why am I not?
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, how do you if AP gets second in MVP, but he gets first in offensive player, and Mahomes gets, like for example, Mahomes would get MVP. It's like, well, why would
I think what you're trying to say is if you win offensive or defensive player of the year, those are the players that should be winning MVPs.
Right.
It should not be MVP, offensive player, and defensive player of the year as 3 different players. It should be 2 players, 2 players. It should be
one
MVP that is either offensive
That's
or
a good
defensive
point,
player
actually,
of the year
JB.
as well.
It's actually a really good point.
But John, I kind of see where
wins those 2 awards.
John, I kind of see where you're coming from, though, because there should be some awards that should go hand in hand, kind of like in college ball, right?
Yeah.
So, if you are a quarterback,
Jay, we're losing you.
And you're
We're losing you, Jay.
Going up for the Heisman, right? If you win the Heisman Trophy, theoretically.
Yeah,
you're just cutting out a little bit. It sounds like.
Oh, okay then. Yeah, no. What I was saying is theoretically, if you're a quarterback that's going up for the Heisman and you win the Heisman, you should, in theory, win the Maxwell or the Manning Award because they're for the best player or best quarterback. You win the Heisman, but you don't win the Manning Award. Like, how does that happen?
Doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. Exactly.
Different voters.
But
I get what he's saying. I agree.
I agree.
I agree with John. Is that all these awards go hand in hand? By being MVP, that's saying you have this large amount of value So if you are the most valuable offensive player, let's say, for the league, then you should be up for most valuable player, period, because you're saying, okay, out of all the players that play on offense, I was the most valuable one. Out of all the defensive players, same thing. So how is somebody else, let's say Patrick Mahomes, going to win MVP, but Justin Jefferson, win Offensive Player of the Year? How does that make sense?
I mean, and Justin Jefferson's playing out of his mind right now.
Oh, yeah.
It looks great.
He's in fuego.
I mean, you want to talk about that catch?
Insane.
I mean, you know what, John? I'm glad I used him because I want to present this. I want to present this question to you guys. I want you guys to rank these 3 catches, and I'm not saying they're the definitive greatest catches, but they are widely considered. 2 of them are widely considered some of the greatest catches we've ever seen. I want you to rank them 1 through 3. So one of those catches will be Justin Jefferson's catch this weekend because that was just unbelievable. So I want to see where it ranks with these. So Justin Jefferson, OBJ's one-hander, and David Tyree's helmet catch. I'm going to start with Jay. Rank those 3. 1 being the best, 3 being somehow the worst. And I put quotes around it. It's obviously still pretty great, but the worst of those 3.
It's close. And I'm surprised you don't have Edelman's grab, but it's cool. I'm going to say OBJ 1, Jefferson 2, Tyree 3.
Wow. Okay. JB? I'm
going to go with Tyree. David Tyree number 1 because it was in the Super Bowl.
Okay.
The timing of it automatically puts that number 1. OBJ's catch number 2, and then of course Jefferson's catch 3. But you're really mincing.
You're picking hairs.
Very close.
You're picking hairs. Of course.
It's very close.
Again, it makes for fun conversation. John?
Oh yeah.
The greatest catch I've ever seen is that Justin Jefferson catch. The OBJ catch, I know that started all the one-handers. I get it. David Tyree catch is we only consider that the greatest because of when it was. Now, it was a great catch. It was an amazing catch. But if that happened in a regular season game, I don't think we rank it with these 2 catches. That's my opinion. I think it's just because of when it was, but it was amazing. But I think the Justin Jefferson catch,
so Jefferson 1.
Taking the interception away with one hand while falling to the ground and ripping it from the dude. I don't even know how physically, I don't know how that is even possible.
So what is your official ranking?
And
Jefferson
then OBJ's 2, and then the David Tyree's got to be 3.
I'm more with JB, but I'm going to change it a little bit. I say Tyree is number 1, partially because I agree. Circumstance matters, and also just catching that ball on your helmet is just I don't know how it physically didn't roll off the helmet. That's one of those things I'll never understand. Just because,
Justin Timberlake, he put that piece of gum. He put that piece of gum on the side of his helmet.
Yeah, definitely.
It was sick. Don't lie.
Yeah, you never saw that commercial?
That one.
With Justin
I put that
Timberlake?
number 1. I would say Justin Jefferson goes number 2. Also, again, kind of because of circumstance and also the way it happens. John kind of mentioned it. He not only caught it, but he pulled it away from what would have been an interception. So, to me, I would say if that was a catch, even in the playoffs, I'd probably put that number 1. But because of the lack of significance, if you will, just because it's a regular season game versus, kind of like JB was getting at with the Super Bowl being that important, it kind of diminishes a little bit. OBJ 3. OBJ was cool. It was impressive. But Jefferson literally stole it away from what would have been, I would have assumed, a guaranteed interception.
Now,
that was
does that become the greatest, Jake? If they win that game and that's the reason they're the number 1 seed, and then the Super Bowl, the NFC goes through them and they go to the Super Bowl and they win it.
I don't think so.
And that propels them.
I don't think so.
Would you be like, okay, that catch was the reason they beat the Bills. They got the number 1 seed. They won the Super Bowl.
No, I don't think it comes down to that for me.
It wouldn't change your mind in a couple months.
No, because again, the context of when it happened, I can't say, oh, well, that catch is why they won the Super Bowl. That's so hard to say because to win the Super Bowl,
we do that in sports. I mean, we do that.
But to really say one catch won them the Super Bowl, my point is,
and it's so far away from the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Right, but they did go to Buffalo. They beat them. They're keeping up with the Eagles. If they somehow pass the Eagles, the road goes through them in the NFC, and they somehow
I'm just saying it's to pin it on one catch. I think is a little unfair. You know what I mean? You could say it was maybe a motivator or something to that extent. But just to put it all on one play like that is a little unfair. I think saying like David Tyree is why the Giants won that Super Bowl. Yeah, I think that's fair to say because if he doesn't make that catch, when it occurred, the circumstances really justify that as opposed to a regular season catch. And then, as JB was kind of alluding to, right, the difference in time. We're talking about months down the road. They win the Super Bowl. Yeah. It's a little harder to say, like, oh, well, that's why.
I mean, at this point, looking at it, I don't even think Minnesota is going to be the number 1 seed. They're tied with Philly, but they're behind because of head-to-head.
Right.
So, I mean, theoretically, there's only 3 teams right now that can get the number 1 seed.
Right.
Because Dallas lost. It's the Giants, which is hysterical, the Eagles, and the Vikings. Nobody else is in contention for the number 1 seed.
That is
at the current moment.
An honorable mention, because we didn't mention it, the George Pickens catch this year was pretty damn good, too.
It was very good. I truly believe this catch by Justin Jefferson was the greatest regular season catch that I can think of at least. To say it's the greatest ever definitively is a little unfair because so many catches that I would have to actually analyze that and think. But I think that was, for now I could say, that might be the greatest catch in regular season history. Mm-hmm. That was just mind-boggling. And I have him in fantasy football, which also this makes it so much better. I watch him and I'm just like, yes, good catch. Good work.
It wouldn't be.
Makes it a little sweeter. I love it. So.
Jay speaking, but all we see is his lips moving. It's hysterical.
Of course he's going to favor that. I was looking at it. I mean, I understand y'all's points absolutely circumstantial. Can you hear me?
We got
you. Hear me now?
We got you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I coming in
Verizon?
late?
Yes, you were definitely coming in late, Jay.
Okay, I'm going to try to come out and come back in.
Your lips are moving on screen and your voice is fine.
Okay.
Don't you love technology? It's the best.
I love it.
Yeah.
Did you guys hear my stat? JB retweeted it. Did you see the stat that I posted yesterday, Jake? And I said on Sports Arena last night. Did you see that stat? It's a crazy stat. I did my research. This is all.
Specify it all it's about.
Numbers are true. Aaron Rodgers would have to play until he's 1,825 years old in order to throw as many double-digit interception seasons as Peyton Manning. He would have to play 120 seasons, 8 full Aaron Rodgers careers in order to have as many double-digit interception seasons as Peyton Manning does.
Wow.
1,825. Once he reaches that age, then he'll catch Peyton Manning in double-digit pick seasons.
And I still tell you, he's the most overrated quarterback ever played the game.
I'm not so sure, man. Looking at some of his stats. No. If you look at some of his stats, some of his seasons, like I said, his first 3 years.
There's only one stat that matters: winning the Super Bowl.
No, but you
don't play the game. You don't play the game for any other reason.
If you can't just say that because then you take Dan Marino completely out of the equation of one of the greatest.
You can when you're Aaron Rodgers and you win the number 1 seed and you lost to Tampa Bay.
I think JB
all you have to do is get a first down.
I think JB's making a point.
There's a difference between him and Dan Marino.
Aaron Rodgers has had so many obvious opportunities and he talks so much and all this hype around him. Which is the difference.
I was looking at his stats the other day. Like I said, I did this research on him, and some of this is crazy. And I didn't know, some of his seasons. I mean, this guy's throwing 48 touchdowns and 5 picks, 40 touchdowns, 7 picks,
and then
39 touchdowns, 8
season?
picks, 45 touchdowns, 6 picks. The efficiency, 466 touchdowns to 100 interceptions. Nobody in the history of the NFL is even close to that touchdown to pick ratio.
You know what I'll say? I'll say this.
In the NFC North.
I think Aaron Rodgers is an extremely efficient quarterback, but when it comes to crunch time, he stinks.
No, I know. I'm just saying, those numbers are astronomical compared to Marino, Manning, Elway, Montana, all those guys who have amazing numbers.
What was
Rodgers'
record
efficiency
in the regular season?
I'm just saying, Rodgers' efficiency is just off the charts for his career, and we should give him that credit. That's almost a 5-to-1 ratio.
What I will say is Aaron Rodgers is a great regular season quarterback, and JB, as much as you don't like him, that is an accurate statement, and I know you will agree. He's a great regular season quarterback. There's
At
no
one
doubt
point,
about
Manning
that.
was looking the same way.
And
Manning was
JB
the same way.
JB's a guy who hates Aaron Rodgers, but he'll admit that, and he did.
Of course.
But to JB's point, and I agree, and I'm not saying you're not saying this, John, but it's just this is why you need the full context. Yeah, he's great in the regular season. He sucks in the playoffs. He does nothing every year, and it's a huge disappointment.
So can I ask, can we say Peyton Manning's the same way?
No, because Peyton Manning and Brady.
Hold on. Peyton Manning has been to 3 Super Bowls.
He had Brady.
He's been to 4 Super Bowls, actually. 4, and he's lost 2.
But he's got 2 rings.
Hold on. That last Super Bowl, he didn't win that for them.
Doesn't matter.
I mean, he threw 9 touchdowns and 17 picks that year. They won despite him. Trent Dilfer was a better quarterback in his Super Bowl year than Peyton Manning was in his second Super Bowl.
It doesn't matter. You can't.
But it does, because
I will, John. Here's why I'll say I disagree with you. And JB,
I mean, Peyton Manning might as well have been on the bench and winning that ring. He did
Let
nothing.
me ask you a question, John.
Peyton Manning versus Tom Brady, and I will let JB expand upon it because it is his point. But I just want to briefly say, Aaron Rodgers versus who? Tell me who it was. Who was his big arch rival? Right? There wasn't. So JB, I want to turn the floor to you because that was your point. I don't want to hijack it, but I wanted to make my point that Aaron Rodgers didn't have that.
If there was no Tom Brady, how many Super Bowls does Manning have?
Maybe he chokes. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger was still there.
I think what you can say is
there's
at the
nobody
very least,
that was as good.
At the very least, Peyton Manning
in the regular season.
Hold on. What you can say is Peyton Manning, at the very least, makes twice as many Super Bowls, I think, is a fair statement. He went to 4. I think you can say he went to 8 because a lot of the reasons he didn't go farther was because of Tom Brady. I'm not saying he makes every year and wins it. I'm just saying his appearances would likely go up because he would likely replace some of those Super Bowls that Tom Brady was able to go to. I think that's a fair statement that we can make. About what he wins and then goes on, I can't say.
So Peyton Manning's 14-13 in his career in the playoffs. That's not very good.
And how many of those are against Tom Brady?
And what's Rodgers' playoff record?
Give me a second. I will.
Because it's probably worse than Manning's.
Peyton Manning versus Tom Brady in the playoffs, by the way. They met
11-10 Rodgers. So basically the same thing as Peyton. A game above 500. Basically the same thing.
All right.
And how many Super Bowls?
But I just want to ask you something, John, because you mentioned
it's 1-0.
But John, you mentioned the 2015 season. Let me ask you a question. If Brock Osweiler starts that game and plays, does he beat the Panthers?
Yes.
No.
Yeah. That defense won them the game. Von Miller and company won them that game.
Okay.
Like, that was all the defense.
I'm not going to disagree that the defense was the main reason they won, but I will disagree that another quarterback would have been able to win against the Panthers. That's the difference. It's the same thing. Eli Manning and the Giants. Why did they win 2 Super Bowls? Eli Manning did what he needed to do when he needed to do it, but the defense, of course, helped carry those wins. I'm never going to deny that, but I guarantee you couldn't have put somebody else there and have won the Super Bowl still because Eli Manning did do certain things to win those games. Same thing with Peyton. It's very simple. Peyton wasn't the catalyst. He wasn't the only reason they won. He wasn't even the main reason. But you can't argue that if you put somebody else there, they would have won. I just don't believe that because Peyton Manning was Peyton Manning, and he was going to do just enough.
Peyton Manning was 13 of 23, 141 yards and a pick. And C.J. Anderson ran 90 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah. But
Peyton Manning wasn't very good.
But hold on. Here's the important stat that you said. He threw 1 pick, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
My point would be if you put Brock Osweiler in there, he's going to throw 3 picks probably, and we're talking about a different story. So, again, my point is I'm not saying Peyton won it. That is not at all what I'm going to say. But what I am going to say is that if somebody else was in there, they would not have been able to handle the spotlight, handle the situation. They would have lost the game more likely.
The defense sacked Cam Newton 7 times, picked him off, and made him fumble for that defensive touchdown.
You're missing what I'm saying.
But I'm just saying, like,
John, if Aaron Rodgers was quarterback for Denver that year, they would have found a way to lose because that's what he does. He's a loser. A loser. He is Kirk Cousins on crack. That's all I'm going to say.
Excuse you. Hold on. His name is not Kirk Cousins.
Cousins is actually winning right now.
Just
Hold
went
on.
and beat
Hold
the
on.
Buffalo
Time out.
Bills.
Time out. Everybody time out. Because JB needs to be corrected. His new name is Kirk Thuggins, and you need to say it correctly because that is his new nickname that everybody's calling him, and I will call him as such because you know what? He's 8-1 and he's having a great time. Now, when he plays primetime, we can call him whatever you want because he sucks in primetime. But those 1 o'clock games, it's Kirk Thuggins, baby. He looks great.
Listen, Aaron Rodgers is Kirk Cousins on crack. When the game matters,
Again,
he disappears.
Kirk Thuggins. Say it right.
No.
Or I'm going to send you, baby, if you don't say it right, I'm going to send you and the Colts and the Broncos all to the glue factory. I've been saying it for 3 weeks now. To the glue factory.
Hey, the Colts had a great game.
Wow,
Saturday's
any given Saturday, right? Any given
the
Saturday.
Raiders are just an absolute dumpster fire.
Oh, yes.
Gosh.
Biggest disappointment.
Thank God
Biggest disappointment this year.
That game.
How's Mark Davis doubled down on keeping
I was
Josh
going to
McDaniels?
say, he made comments this past week where it's like, oh, everything is fine. Everything's great. I'm like, do you just want to lose? Are you intent on lose? Like, are you content with losing? Is that your goal? Because if so, good job.
You're doing great.
Listen.
Doing great, honey.
The game was in Indy, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And
No, it was in Vegas. It was in Vegas.
Was it?
I thought you meant the
Vegas.
Eagles game. I thought you meant the Eagles game.
No, it was in Vegas.
It was in Vegas this game.
Raiders lost at home.
I was going to say if McDaniels got on that plane again, working for Davis is like the greatest job in the world. You could do nothing and just get a paycheck.
He's like you know what I mean? He's like a weatherman. He screws up and he gets paid anyway. Nothing against weather people because I know it's hard, but
And and Matt Ryan who's what, 38 years. Matt Ryan, he's what, like 37. He looks 48. He had a 39-yard run that game.
That was embarrassing.
That's great.
And Jacobs was back.
It was.
Jacobs was actually alive during that game.
They
Adams
used
had
him.
a touchdown. Adams had a touchdown. Everybody was doing everything, and they still lost.
I would say the Raiders are a worse team than the Texans. Like, this is the worst team in the NFL. The Raiders are. The most dysfunctional. Because the Texans are rebuilding. Like, the Raiders were supposed to compete this year, make the playoffs. People were picking them to make the Super Bowl, and they're one game above the Texans.
And we've been in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
like the Texans,
and we've been in every game this year too.
Yeah. Like at least they're competing. Like the Raiders are just completely.
Speaking of, real quick, Jay, thank you for the win this weekend. kind of forgot to say something before, and I just kind of thought I was like, oh yeah, we played Jay's Texans this week. The Giants played them, so thank you for that.
We made it a lot tougher.
I know it was going to happen.
Oh,
I was like, how long are we going to stay in this ball game? Basically, but hey, you know what? I did pick up Daniel Jones on free agency, and he helped me beat Jacob this week.
Hey.
So, thank you to the Giants.
What league did you play Jacob in?
I'm going to get something out of it.
Jay, what league did you play Jacob in? Do you guys have a different league that I'm not in? Because I
played the same league, the same.
I played Jacob this week.
Wait, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. It was Jordan. It was Jordan Long. I'm sorry. Okay. It was Jordan.
Because I was going to say, I beat Jacob.
Sideline sports league that we don't know about.
I was like, I don't really care if you guys play in a different league.
Super secret.
But I'm like, I'm in that league with you and Jacob and everybody else. And I'm like, I just beat the brakes off him. I beat him like 36 points. I crushed him. You had A.J. Brown last night. No, I need like 38 from A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown had one reception for 7 yards. Ooh. And I was like, oh, that's what happens.
That's beautiful.
He went off.
I did get tired. He traded me. I did get Tyreek Hill because I got Devontae Smith still. He gave me a good offer, and I was like, you know what?
Jacob is the worst trader in the league. There's no question. He traded away Jeff Wilson and Deonta Foreman for James Robinson and Gus Edwards.
What?
Yeah.
How?
Yeah.
Listen, if you're in fantasy and the pundits in it, just offer. I
agree. It's great. I love watching.
As long as you just offer something, you get the conversation started, then you talk to him. He'll give you whatever you want.
Yeah. You know what's funny, though? because I offered him a better deal and he messed up. I offered him at one point, I think it was AJ Brown. And I wanted for him. Hey, let me see. I have the deal here. I'll find.
He's easy. What can we say?
No,
He's easy.
but then he made this
when it
other
comes to
trade, and I was
trading.
like, "What do you do?" Okay, here we go. So I offered him. No, this is not the deal. Actually, well, this is not bad either. Amon-Ra St. Brown and Ramondre Stevenson for Tyreek Hill and Josh Palmer, and he said no, which is whatever. But then he also made a dumb mistake because I offered him like Stevenson and somebody else in order to get AJ Brown and Deonta Foreman, and he was like, "Nah." I was like, and then he traded away Deonta Foreman, and I'm like, "Well, what are you doing? Just what is your plan?" Because I was willing to give you good
There's
players
no
in return.
plan.
I was willing to give
there's
you
no
something good, and he was just like, "Nah," and then he traded away him for pennies on the dollar.
Well,
And
I
then
mean,
he texted me today.
well, him and
Like,
I
I made
made
a
that
mistake.
trade where he was going to take Barkley off my hands in the offseason, and he accepted it and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all right, like you give me my 4th round pick back. And he's like, all right. And then I talked to him like a couple weeks later, and he's like, yeah, I don't have any 4th round picks. I'm like, well, how are we going to do our deal in the offseason if you?
It's like it's not going to happen
Well,
anymore.
we can't do the deal now. And he's like, well, I guess I don't have a pick. I'm like,
Hold on.
why did
John?
you already accepted the deal?
Do you know who has that 4th round pick?
Huh?
I have that 4th round pick.
No, I know. I'm just saying.
I have it. I have. Hold on.
Jake's over here playing Monopoly, bro.
I have his 4th and his 6th next year, and he has my 5th. I'm doing great. I'm
just saying
life.
it's like what you just said about like, hey, I'm not going to trade this. And then you go and trade it like 3 seconds later. It's like, what?
Well, no, he trades it for worse though. He gets offered, 99 cents to the dollar.
No. I don't want Park Place. No, you're trying to trick me.
Right.
Here, give me.
The good thing is,
Give me one of
I've
the
done a little bit
railroads.
better than Jake. I got the 2nd and 5th round pick, and I'm in 1st place in the league. So I don't know.
Different leagues, JB.
I don't want Park Place.
All
Give
different
me
leagues,
the
but yes.
electric company.
No, the pick leagues is the same league.
Yes, but I'm saying among other leagues, he's making bad trades.
He does it in every
Oh,
league.
he does it. It's a recurring theme.
I will say, John, and this is how the show is going to go because we got a couple minutes. This is just we're going to have a conversation. I think for the end of the show, we'll just kind of wrap it up like this. Like let's just have a little fun. John, did you pay attention to fantasy this weekend at all?
Yeah, I did.
Do you know that you lost to one of the worst teams in the league?
Yeah, Cooper Kupp decided to get hurt, man, and
that's John.
That hurt.
Him getting hurt has nothing to do with your loss.
I mean, I didn't get any points out of him.
No, John, that's not why you got no points out of him because he played most of that game.
John Ward is terrible.
John, he played for a majority of that game, and you lost not because of injury, because he just did nothing all game and then got injured afterward.
And then Justin Herbert decided to do nothing. And Brandon Ayuk scored 2 touchdowns that he just chose not to get in the end zone. If you watch the Sunday Night Football game, and
John, I'd like to point out to you, just because I can, had you chose to start Amon-Ra St. Brown,
I know I already went over the, but I still lead the division over you by a game.
That's fine.
And then I'll beat you next week and on your.
I like it when you guys fight over who's going to win the division.
It's fine. I'm enjoying this. This is great.
Well,
John,
you have a weaker division, JB.
You do.
Listen, I didn't pick my division.
But you can't
I beat everybody in front of me.
Hey, but I will say with my win this weekend, I'm 3rd seed. I'm riding pretty high. I'm feeling good. I think again, your boy deserves GM of the year, no matter what. It doesn't matter. No, and John will tell you.
Taking advantage of Jacob does not get you GM of the year.
John, I turned a roster that was garbage into a contender. I had Matt Stafford, Jameis Winston at quarterback. I now have Patrick Mahomes and Dak. I'm doing real good.
You picked Deb and
it's not my
Jacob
fault.
Rosters apart.
It doesn't matter.
Took everything from them and made it yours. That's
John,
the only difference.
That's what smart GMs do. Smart GMs do that.
GM of the year.
I mean,
all right. We got about a minute and a half.
I don't need to make trades. I'm still the best team in the league.
It's all right. Playoffs, we'll see what happens. But we got about a minute and a half. Jay, let's start it real quick. Where can everybody find you?
If you watch in any of those places, I give you
Yeah,
credit.
thanks for having me on, man. Coming up in about 4 minutes ish, special episode of.
I've never seen that delay before.
All right, we're just.
This is great.
I'm just gonna mute Jay. No offense, because I can't hear anything.
Sounds like the Joker.
Oh, he's still gonna keep going. He's gonna keep going. All right, JB, real quick, go. We got like 45 seconds.
JB_ the program here every Tuesday. Wednesday, the J&J Sports Express at 7. South Florida Tribune Sports Exchange at 9. Every other week, both sides of the coin. And who knows where else I'll be.
And there's confidential tonight, right?
Yes, I'm not on tonight.
Okay, but I know there was, and that's why Jay.
Yes.
I know he wanted to tell us that, so I got you, Jay. I'm thinking for you. John, real quick, 20 seconds. Let's go.
Blue Hawks 13 and Tua for MVP.
Okay. You guys can find me on Twitter at Jake_Malik. As you see, scrolling across the bottom of the screen, these are the places you can find Sideline Sports. And on that note, everybody have a good one, and we will see you next time.